Hey guys, Mark Ferrasci, Protect Dog Training with DiOGi, and we're going to go into the kennel here. And we've been talking about his little propensities. A lot of this comes from drive and energy and learned behavior from his pack that was all going crazy on the fence line. A bunch of piranhas. I've talked about that. All right, hey, no, quit. I ripped my boots up. So the other day I mentioned, and I let you guys see that video with Tina walking by and him going off and everything, and I cuffed him pretty good, I told you about, and he went over to this little hole and stayed there. No. And right now he's on a protein high because he just got done eating. He's coming out, he's excited. So a lot of this is excitement, trying to hone in on what it is and not ruin the dog. So I cuffed him pretty heavy. We got to, hey, knock it off. So we got now an attitude of correction. He's basically subservient to my dominance. Nope, in a general sense. But these behaviors will come back if you don't stay on top of it. And then you have the chance of squashing the dog and ruining the dog if you don't do it with a methodical thought process and really trying to make sure that you don't squash the dogs. This is one of the things with the Dutch Shepherds. They've got propensities towards things like this because they're so smart, that if you do the wrong thing too much, too heavy on them when they're young, you'll take a good dog like this and ruin it. You can talk about nerve all the time, right? Well, you can wash that nerve right out and make him a scared little pansy because he's been overcorrected and somebody comes on him too strong. So you got to make sure that you're careful, right? So I had that guy on the string, and I was a little frustrated. I was going to lose the sale. I told you about that. So I cuffed him pretty good, and I looked for his response. And then I was going to go out and start kind of feeding food to people and wait for this behavior to keep going and then squash it out there with correction. In other words, correct it out of the dog, right? And I started thinking with a situation that was up here with another trainer that's up for a seminar right now, Schutzen trainer, that's well known in our area that goes out and does these seminars. So there's a group of people up here, a small group. And I went up yesterday and we had a negative situation. And it was mainly because of personalities. I walked up and didn't even know him, right? And thought I'd take DiOGi up and start feeding food to people, giving food to people and let him start greeting into it. And he got angry without even knowing me. Just out of the blue, just went, I don't believe in that shit. And just totally came at me real strong. And it was the wrong thing to do on his part. He now has an impression that he's given me for the rest of my life. I will never respect the man because of what he did, right? He could have expressed himself 1,000 different ways without going to that extreme where he's acting like he wants to kick my ass just because I handed him a little food and I asked him to pet my dog. Totally wrong. So whatever. So that was a negative situation. But what it did for me, I have no respect for him, but I have a respect for his point of view and what he was trying to say, even though he did it the wrong way, right? Was that squashing or correcting it out of the dog is not the way to go. And I think he's right in a big way, because we're talking a dog we want to go to the street. We're talking, I've got a gentleman now that's looking at DiOGi that wants to go APA, which is the American version of KNVP, right? You want a strong dog. You don't want a dog that's going to be squashed. It's not that important to me to make the dog subservient to me. It's more important to have that inner core being be stout and be courageous and be a strong dog, right? That's what we want. That's what I'm breeding for, right? I want dogs that I know the police can rely on being able to get these dogs to go to the street. So, or a strong sport like APA. So it's very relative in that way, or PSA, or anything that's going to require a lot of the dog in a protective way. So even though I'm seeing this behavior kind of come back on the fence again, because that's the way behaviors are, they're going to return back to that scratch in the record. Remember what I told you? The needles kind of have a tendency to want to return to that scratch. Did you get it polished out well enough? So, and I could go heavy on him right now and cuff him again and go that, but I'm really more concerned right now that I don't ruin the dog, that I don't do it at this young age. So, as the same thing with me going out and starting to hand, I usually go into a whole greeting way of doing things and greet my dogs into people. That's because civilians can't handle that kind of behavior, and they need a dog that's going to be more pet quality dog. We're talking police dogs. So I've decided now, with getting that cold bucket of water slapped in my face, even though I didn't respect his reaction to what he did, I have no respect for him at all, and I think he's a little bit out of there. And it's going to, first impressions are everything. So my first impression of this gentleman just went down the toilet with his automatic instant reaction to somebody he didn't even know. And he came off on me like that. So that's a whole nother story. So, but what it did do is, like I said, it was like a cold bucket of water in my face. So it'd shock you, right? And it made me step back and think about it, you know, and I did. You know, I started thinking about it, and I said, you know, I'm going to go out and I'm going to take him out. I'm just going to ignore it, and I'm not going to start greeting him into people. I'm just going to make him neutral to his environment. A lot of law enforcement, that's what they'll do. They just basically, they don't want to have the dog even being greeted by people. They don't want people petting their dog. They want him to be neutral. So, and they expose him to all kinds of environment, all kinds of people, but they want the dog to be neutral so he's not having to, see, he's going to be affected if he's a young puppy, 14 weeks of age. If he's insecure, and that's why he's doing what he's doing, starting to go off on people and being a little sharp, right? It's because I'm trying to push him into people by trying to get him to go food and make him be friendly with people. And we already have one experience with that with Buddy. Buddy did the same kind of thing. He didn't get aggressive, but he doesn't like going up to people, right? So there again, it kind of shows that I had the same problem with my method of going around in a circle and greeting them into people. That's pet quality dogs, and that's fear-oriented dogs. Not a working dog like this might not be a good thing to do this. Just remember, when I say these things, guys, every dog is different. They're just like human beings. We all have different personalities, different character traits. Some people have characters where they fall on the ground and they get back up, and that's what you admire in them. They get back up again and they face the world, right? The trauma of falling on the ground is not what it's all about. It's how you get up, right? So the same things apply to dogs. Every dog is different, right? Now, I have a certain propensities, a certain general aspect that my genetics are going to throw, meaning going after those balls, going crazy, this kind of thing I'm seeing in him, and I see it in his father, where his father was an older dog, was so mean by that time, you're going to get your rear end kicked. You know, this little guy comes at me, and he's a little tyke of 14 weeks old. What can he do to me? I put my fist out there and let him kind of bite on it, you know. He can't hurt me too bad. But you get a dog like Arrow, that dog's 75, 85 pounds, that dog's going to chew you up with that intensity and that aggression intensity. Hey, not, I just filled that in, you little turd. So, knock your head off. You're not going to stop him. You're not going to stop him, dude. As soon as I leave, he'll be out here digging holes like a son of a gun, trying to fill up some of these cooling pits. You see how they dig? That's what we call a cooling pit. Dogs do that when they're in a hot environment and they want to get cool, right? So they dig a nice little cooling pit to curl up into. Right? It's very normal. So I kind of let them get away with most of this, but there's a certain point I've got to fill them in and let them start over again. Not much I can do about it. So I'm going to be doing that. I'm going to go out in public and I'm going to kind of ignore people, and I'm going to stop asking him to go in and get greeted by people. He'll mature into it. Maybe I can do it when he's a little bit older, or maybe he'll just kind of turn into blasé around environment and not really worry about it because people aren't coming up and wanting to pet him. And so now I'm going to have to answer people that when they ask me, can I pet your dog, I'm going to have to tell them no, because this is what I'm doing. I'm changing the way that I do things. Normally, I always do my little circle and I greet them into people with food. And it works 99% of the time, but it's also what you want out of the dog, you know. These guys, the reason they're such a challenge is they're so intelligent. When they're young, they're full of drive to the degree that most people will never be able to handle it. That drive gets in your way a lot of times. They're coming at you, they're trying to bite at you, they're yanking on your pants, and you have the tendency to kind of get frustrated by it after a while. You get frustrated and you dang it, knock it off. And now you're going to be hard on the dog, and that's going to affect the dog, right? They're so intelligent. They're like on a razor wire when they're babies because they are so intelligent. It doesn't mean they're weak. That just means they're intelligent, you know. So anything you do to them and then you do something wrong like that and put too much pressure on them, you're going to ruin the dog because their nerves aren't formed yet. All the nerves, everything's coming together. They're actually, what you're doing is it's just like taking a young man, you know, and you're forming that young man's perception in life and what they're going to be in life as you develop that child. And it's the same thing, you know, you were developing a child. Genetics matter, and yes, that's totally true. But at the same time, it's part and parcel of your environmental, which is you know, who you are as an individual. So this working dog trainer, I'm really looking forward to meeting him if he does follow through and come over and see the dog, because he sounds like my kind of guy. I want somebody that's a working dog person that can do something with this dog and take him somewhere, because he's got all of it in him, believe me. It's just making sure you don't screw the dog up. It doesn't take anything to screw a dog up. Good boy, good. There you go. Good boy. I know you're all fired up, huh? You're all fired up. Let's get him into something, see if I can get him away from me. Because as soon as I walk to the gate, he's going to come at the gate. Little shit. You little shit. DiOGi. DiOGi. He wants my legs more. And this is a learned behavior. He was doing this with his pack with all those little piranha with the gentleman that had the bitch and that was taking care of them as they were puppies before I grabbed him, right? This is some of this behavior that he's learned to do. Little shit. Get it, get it, get it. Here. Get it, get it, get it. Get it, get it, get it. Oh, God. Out. All right, out. That's enough. All right, I'll leave you guys go. I've got to handle this situation. Ouch, DiOGi, damn it. I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye. Mark Ferrasci, Protect Dog Training. We're heading down to Victoria Gardens with the puppies today. No, yeah, you're a little toughy, aren't you, huh? Quit. All right. I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.